Today we're being super sneaky because this isn't actually our machine. This is my son's gaming PC, and we're going to be giving him a secret surprise upgrade. So this is my son's gaming PC. It's not the highest end machine, but it's a pretty decent one. And he built it about 1.5 years ago with his own bare hands. He actually did a pretty decent job on it, and it's had a couple of upgrades since he actually built it. In terms of specifications, it is an AMD system. He's currently running a B450 motherboard, an AMD Ryzen 5 3600, which is a pretty decent CPU still, 32GB of DDR4 RAM, all wrapped up in a fractal messified case, a 750 watt fully modular power supply from Cooler Master, and a bunch of other Cooler Master stuff, including the fans, and as well as the AIO. When it comes to graphics card, he's currently running a Gigabyte RX 5700 XT, and he's always had a little bit of a problem with graphics cards because when he actually built this machine, graphics cards were so expensive, he's always had loaners from the studio. The first graphics card he ever had was a GTX 1060, and that was in a system that I actually built him, and then we upgraded him to the 5700 XT when it became available. But now I want to take that graphics card back, bring it back into the studio, and give him his very own. He doesn't know about this upgrade. I've actually snuck his machine away, so it's going to be a bit of a surprise for him when he comes back. But when it comes to upgrade parts, we're going to be using these. First up on the upgrade is the graphics card. Now, originally he did want an RTX 3060 because he wants to try a bit of ray tracing out on the games that he plays, but we managed to get him a 3070. This was one that we actually got in recently, and I thought it was perfect to actually give him that upgrade. The card is pretty decent, and we have done a video on this recently just to show you how powerful it actually is. So make sure you go check that out, we'll link it at the end. To go with this graphics card update, we're going to be giving him a new CPU as well, and we're going to be giving him this one. Now this is my old Ryzen 5 5600X. It is a bit faster than the 3600 that he's currently running, and it is a new generation. So hopefully together, these are going to pair extremely well. Now we're on a bit of a short time frame at the moment because we're going to be doing this upgrade before he gets home, and it's going to be a big surprise for him because he's really getting into his PC gaming at the moment. But the first thing that I actually did to the machine was actually give it a bit of a clean up. Like most of us out there, this machine had gathered a lot of dust, even though everything had a lot of dust filters, so we give it a quick wipe down, brushed out all the dust that we could from the filters, and it actually shined up pretty well. I know that you guys also love your benchmarks, so I've also done a bunch of benchmarking on this system on games that he generally plays, so we'll do that again with the new stuff and we'll show you what the difference is. But first we need to swap out the components, and if you're going to be doing an upgrade like this, you will probably need to upgrade your BIOS. We've actually kept this one fully up to date, so it's all ready to go. I've also DDU'd the graphics card because we're going from AMD to NVIDIA, so it's completely cleared down, and all we need to do is just swap them over.
Let's go.
So as you can see, we've got the machine all back together again, and we've been doing some benchmarking. I've kept the machine pretty much looking the way that it did. We didn't really need to put this anti-GPU sag in because the RTX 3070 doesn't really have that much sag, but it was his and he fitted it, and I wanted to make sure that I had it aesthetically looking pretty much the same. The card looks absolutely amazing in the system, and the CPU went in perfectly fine. The temperatures on everything are really good. Although I did need to set up his BIOS again, I needed to do all the fan profiles and stuff because swapping the CPU actually did a bit of a reset on the BIOS. So it's worth noting that if you're going to be doing something similar to this. If you do need to update your BIOS anyway, you're going to get a BIOS reset because obviously you got a new BIOS, so you probably won't have an issue there and you'll have to update it anyway. But the machine runs beautifully, and as you can tell from the results of the benchmark, things went really well. He's actually now jumped up a pretty good tier, and he can pretty much play most games on 1440p, even on those high settings. The 1% lows were fantastic throughout, and the average FPSs were pretty much off the chart, so it's a very decent upgrade for him, which is great because he recently purchased himself a brand new 1440p monitor, and unfortunately the 5700 XT wasn't really enough there to be able to push it to its limits. Now this card and this setup is actually going to push his monitor to the highest settings, at least until the more modern games come out, or at least until he wants to play more modern games, and then we'll have to look at doing another upgrade later on. I'm actually super impressed with the upgrade, and I think he will be too, but I'm going to have to now actually get this machine back into his room, sneak it in, and hopefully he doesn't notice any difference until he comes to turn it on, which then he will have a super surprise. So while I go and sneak this machine back, you guys make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you can see more content like this, and we will catch you in the next one.